I think it's the Raiders. Edelman didn't tell us anything we didn't know. I think anybody who's been following this thought that his days in Tampa were going to end no matter what. So I think he's going to go to the Raiders if he plays, and I think he will play. I don't think he's going to go to Miami. They made a commitment to Tua. I don't think he's going anywhere near the Jets. I've heard that. I don't see that. Belichick in the same division. I don't see that. It's a huge rival. They hate each other. I don't see that. McDaniels is in Vegas. He's got Adams sitting there. He almost went there the first time. Fun place to live. Something different. I think
better situation team-wise than Tampa?
I mean, he's got Mahomes he's got to deal with in the division. But when has Brady ever worried about competition in his division? Mm-hmm. He's never thought, well, I can't go there because I got to deal with Mahomes twice a year. I think he's not going to not go there for that reason. I think with McDaniels, they got a pretty good offense. And now, listen, the offensive line needs work, but they got a pretty good offense. They got a great receiver. Almost went there the first time. Good place to live. If he plays, which I think he will, Damian, I think he's going to Vegas.
Go ahead.
You're good, Damian.
You can go.
Okay. I agree with you, Mad Dog. I think for me it's the Raiders. And when I look at it, number one, you talk about relationships, right? Obviously, we know Josh McDaniels is the head coach over there. It was his offensive coordinator for quite some time. Basically, the Raiders are the New England Patriots West.
They are.
As they are. Like general manager, Scott, like everybody basically transported over there to the Las Vegas Raiders. Obviously, talk about, living in Las Vegas. No state tax, no state income tax. That's appealing for players as well. And listen, when I look at the Raiders, yes, they have things they need to iron out. Obviously, talk about the offensive line. Offensive line, they need to address that. They need to add some pieces to the defense. But I think at the end of the day, relationships matter. One of the things we talk about with Tom, especially this year with Tampa, is the offensive play calling, offensive coordinator with Byron Leftwich. I think that was a big situation down there. I think that's a main reason why Brady probably won't be back in Tampa is because the offensive play calling down there. Now you get an opportunity to go someone who has the same mindset, who thinks alike.
Yep.
You guys share a same vision as far as how offense should be played with Josh McDaniels. So I agree with you. I don't see the Jets. Miami, they already lost a pick because of the whole Brady fiasco. The Brady fiasco anyway, so Miami is out the door. And for me, I just look at the Las Vegas Raiders. You can just point draw the line between Brady and Josh McDaniels in that situation.
Yeah.
Dan?
Okay, I get your guys' points on that. I think Julian Edelman's words are prevalent here. He's going to go to the best situation that helps him win. That ain't the Raiders. 3 years ago, Mad Dog, he chose the NFC to get out of the AFC because the AFC is a murderer's row of quarterbacks. Now you think we're going to go into the same division as Patrick, into the same division as Justin Herbert, into a division that might have Sean Payton as the head coach? I think there's a couple questions or boxes that have to get checked for Brady, okay? Can he still play at a high level? I think he can. I don't know if it's 3 years ago when he threw for 50 touchdowns or something, play at a high level. Number one, team has to have at maximum 2-year window to win a Super Bowl. That takes half the league out, okay? Maximum window of 2 years to win the Super Bowl. Number two, got to have a top 5 offensive line, specifically on the interior. Again, that's going to take some teams out. Number three, they got to have 2 perimeter players, like he did when he went down to Tampa initially. That takes some teams out. And then the fourth thing, you got to have a top 10 defense. He's going to be 46 years old. He can't think I'm going to go outscore everybody. So I agree. Jets likely out because of the division. Miami likely out. If you look at the reality of all those things that need to get checked, there's not as many teams as people think. Baltimore could be one because of their situation with Lamar, but I think then you'd have to blow everything up. Offensive coordinator, all those people. So I think that's unlikely. Washington, with everything going on with that organization, does he want to do that? We don't know who the offensive coordinator is going to be, but they check a decent amount of those boxes. I think the Raiders don't check enough when it comes to the defense and the offensive line. And again, within that division, the AFC, you want no part of the AFC. I think there's one team that checks most of those boxes.
Who's that?
Carolina.
He's not
Carolina.
Hey, come on.
Oh, Dan.
Dan.
He's not playing in
Charlotte. He's not playing in Charlotte. Let's
Tell me where I'm
be
wrong.
serious. Let's be serious here.
Dan.
Let's be serious. First of all,
Carolina?
Dan. Here's
Tell me
where
where it's wrong.
Dan, here, first of all, let me tell you a couple things I disagree with you on. Number one, you talked about Tom, as far as he wanted to get out of the AFC because of the quarterbacks. I don't think that's true.
I don't think that's true either.
Tom went to Tampa Bay specifically because Tampa Bay at the time had a championship defense. Remember, this is when Jameis Winston was down there. Jameis Winston threw 30 interceptions. Remember? 30 touchdowns, 30 interceptions, and they were like 7-9 at the time. They had Mike Evans. They had Chris Godwin. They had weapons on the outside. The main reason why Tom left New England was because the offensive pieces, he didn't have offensive pieces in New England. So he went down to Tampa and, found the perfect spot for him with the offensive-minded head coach, ultimately won a Super Bowl down there. But let's be real. Tom is not playing in Charlotte. Like you talk about
Where's
business.
the best place for him to win the Super Bowl?
Dan,
so we're talking about
Christian McCaffrey's not there anymore, buddy.
And who's their coach, Dan?
I think that's
we don't even know their coach.
correct.
Make a commitment to have a coach.
I think that's part of this conversation. But if we are going to just honestly look at the situation, and Edelman knows him better than what's the best situation that helps him win the Super Bowl? The Raiders, when you got to deal with Justin and Patrick, you can be a really good team, and not even get in the dance.
Dan, let me ask you something. One of the first things that Tom did when he went to Tampa was recruit players. He recruited Gronk. He recruited, Fournette. He recruited a bunch of guys. You don't think he would be able to recruit guys to the Las Vegas Raiders to help improve that roster?
You only got so much money.
That
That defense needs 4 difference makers, 4 at least, and they need 2 offensive linemen. You don't got so much money, Wood. Like
what? But Dan.
And they got to pay Josh Jacobs.
Okay, you're acting like the Carolina Panthers are some juggernaut down there.
I'm not. What I'm telling you about Carolina, I don't know who the coach is going to be, and maybe there's a coach there that Tom does want to work with.
No.
What I'm telling you is this: we have talked all year about how much easier the NFC is.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.